Your top stories this evening sponsored by Courts, bringing value home. Mayor recused herself from fate of parking meters project. City Council will decide. Barbaric fights inside the Camp Street jail. It's their way of settling the scores as a prison source. And Guyana Reparations Committee whips PPP during COI. Commission heard that African Guyanese were allegedly discriminated against. HGP Nightly News begins now. Good evening to our viewers here in Guyana and online. I'm Travis Chase with the Thursday, August 24 edition of the HGP Nightly News. Here's what you need to know this evening. City Mayor Patricia Chase Green has recused herself from decision-making regarding the parking meter system. Here's Jevon Vickery with the story.
The mayor says the fate of the project now lies in the hands of the council.
And I have recused myself since the committee was formed, not to have discussion with the chairman or anyone on the matter of the parking meter. And so it is the full council that will deal with the parking meter and not me.
Mayor Chase Green told Nightly News that a decision was also taken to keep the current special committee active, since there is still persons showing interest in having their say in the fate of the project, even though a report on the committee's findings has already been submitted. Last week, the council, during a special statutory meeting, had voted on a decision to publish the report for the benefit of the citizenry in key public areas. The mayor informed this newscast that she also took a decision to give the council the power to decide on what should be done in relation to the future of the project. That decision should be revealed within a few days.
The council will sit at a special session to determine that. I have no personal interest as it is now of my own opinion of what will happen. It will be taken to the full council, and the full council and its councillors will make that decision and vote whichever way they want to vote. But personally, I have no say on it right now.
Previously, consultations between Smart City Solution and the special committee failed to realize the results City Hall wanted, as the group of councillors rejected a request for a non-disclosure agreement. There is also a likelihood that the two bodies will meet again.
How do you feel about that? And with the meeting not happening between the two of them, do you think that this will affect what will happen next in further discussions?
The meeting with the committee has not been completed, as you would have heard me at the special meeting that was held to deal with that. The committee is not dissolved. They are still expected to work. They would have submitted a report.
The council will meet again on Friday to set a date to determine whether the project will be quashed or it will continue with a new agreement between City Hall and Smart City Solutions. Jevon Vickery, HGP Nightly News.
Thank you, Jevon, for your reporting. The Burnham Foundation has recommended to the ongoing Ancestral Lands Commission of Inquiry the recovery of African Guyanese ancestral lands, which purportedly changed ownership wrongfully, or that compensation should be provided for those lands. Warden James reports.
In a detailed presentation to the Ancestral Lands Commission of Inquiry on Thursday, Chairman of the Burnham Foundation, Mr. Vincent Alexander, told the Commission that the concern of the Burnham Foundation is the unjust process of transferal of African ancestral lands which have become the property of persons and entities who, by virtue of their acquisition, have deprived African Guyanese of those lands.
Dartmouth would be one such village. Queenstown would be another such village. Stewartville would be another such village. Farm would be another such village. Plaisance would be another such village. Buxton would be another such village. And there are a number of others throughout the country.
Mr. Alexander told the Commission that the lands presently occupied at Pradoville 1 and 2 in the Plaisance area are examples of lands which have moved from being village lands and are wrongfully occupied.
What I am suggesting is that a determination should be made about the disposal of those lands across the local authorities in this country. And that determination having been made, there should be some form of redress for the wrongful transfer of those lands, a form of redress which may either be a return of those lands to the villages to which they belong, or compensation for those lands.
The Barnum Foundation chairman is suggesting that a proper system be put in place to correct the ills of the past regarding ancestral lands. The inquiry, which is being chaired by Reverend Chakasang, heard of the alleged illegalities under which those lands were acquired by persons who are not originally from those predominantly African villages. The Barnum Foundation, through Mr. Alexander, also suggested that there be an audit of all ancestral lands so that justice can prevail and that persons in the villages can enjoy that which those before them had fought for. Royd and James, HGP Nightly News.
You're watching the HGP Nightly News. An interesting story now. Barbaric fights inside the prison would not be encouraged, says Prison Director Gladwin Samuels. We will show you now how prisoners settle the score inside the jail. We warn that the video you are about to see may not be suitable for all audiences. A usually reliable prison source has confirmed that this video leaked to Nightly News shows simply the way inmates settle disputes among themselves. The 1-minute video shot from inside what used to be the wooden prison at Camp Street shortly before the July 9 fire shows how inmates fight gladiator style to settle disputes.
Bring it from before you enter and slap kick before you enter and slap kick.
The source related to Nightly News that it was, quote, an old road story, unquote, that caused the supervised beating of another inmate. This beating you are currently viewing was reportedly supervised by the, quote, father figure, unquote, of the cell, and that the duo was given 3 minutes to settle the score. Clearly from this video, the inmate who was beaten to the ground was practically powerless. He could be heard shouting for help, but other inmates gathered around to get a glimpse of the method used by them to settle disputes. The fight was eventually broken up by prison officials. The source clarified that no objects were used, and surprisingly, no one was rushed to hospital for treatment. A second showdown was reportedly filmed. Contacted on Thursday, Director of Prisons Gladwin Samuels told Nightly News that this sadistic conduct of inmates for the amusement of other inmates would not be encouraged under his watch. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. There is a plan to use high-tech instruments in all local prisons to stop the smuggling of contraband. Since the July 9 unrest, the demand for contraband has reportedly increased. Jevon Vickery reports.
Prison authorities have reportedly seized approximately 3,000 grams of cannabis and other illegal items between July and August 2017 at the prisons. Director of Prisons Gladwin Samuels, while acknowledging the trend, had said that the demand for contraband in Camp Street, Luziknan and Temeri prisons has increased. Minister of Public Security Kamraj Ramchatan was asked by Nightly News about long-term plans to curb the practice of contraband smuggling in the prison system.
The other way is to get some very heavy X-ray equipment coming in, and we are going to try to bring that in too. That will help. Modern technologies and so on.
Recently, the Public Security Ministry initiated a plan to have all prison wardens and prisoners checked by members of the Guyana Police Force on entry and departure from all prisons. But the Public Security Minister reiterated that there is an underlying problem to the issue of contraband smuggling in the prison system.
It obviously is collusion of family members that are, because they're on self-support, and we got to do a lot more to catch these fellas. But it is very disappointing.
Javon Vickery, HGP Nightly News.
As the Georgetown Mayor and City Council searches for means to pay off the main sanitation contractors, Mayor of Georgetown, Patricia Chase Green, says small contractors are doing a great job. Let's get more details from Ayana George.
In light of the current garbage situation in the city due to the council's inability to pay the $300 million owed to the two main solid waste contractors, Puran Brothers Disposal Service and Sivon Waste Management, Mayor Patricia Chase Green says there appears to be no immediate resolution to the problem.
We're still looking at ways and means of how we can find that $300 million, and there's no way in the horizon I'm seeing it coming from anywhere. And so we're still hoping that the contractors can really sit with us and let us deal with it.
The mayor is urging the public to cooperate with City Hall in light of the fragile garbage collection situation.
If the truck didn't come today, they just bring it and dump it outside Mandela Avenue, outside Main Street, outside some prominent places by Parliament Building and all of that to get attention. We are hoping that good sense will prevail with some of those persons.
City Council has since made it clear that it has not disengaged with its main sanitation contractors, but in return the contractors have suspended work.
We have had an agreement with the big contractors since early in 2017, where we were going to pay them current, which is $45 million a month, while we look at it was 2015, 2016 and 2017. We were able to pay off whatever variation we had for 2015. 2016 we have not been able to touch. We were paying current in 2017, which was the $45 million between the two contractors. They haven't withdrawn their services. We are still accumulating that $45 million, in which that will be paid to the small contractors, right? Until we can sort this thing with the big contractors out.
The purported inability of the council to introduce new revenue-earning measures are among factors listed for the Georgia municipality's financial woes. Reporting for HGP Nightly News, Ayana George.
Thank you there, Ayana. The administration is urging Indigenous authorities to consider employing accounting officers in their communities to better manage the funds which each community receives from the government for developmental projects. Kristen Macklingam has more.
To ensure a high level of probity in accounting for resources placed at the disposal of Indigenous communities, the relevant authorities are being asked to consider the employment of accounting officers instead of electing treasurers.
Consider the employment of the officer as one with security of tenure. I'm saying this because we have seen in the life of the village council, you have 3 years, and sometimes every year you're changing your treasurer because of some skullduggery. And we cannot allow that to happen.
Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs Sidney Alicock addressing Tushaus at this year's National Tushaus Council Conference. According to Minister Alicock, it would better serve the indigenous villages if there are specific persons accountable for finances which are granted to ensure community developmental projects prosper and yield financial returns.
So let us think in that way of stretching the dollar and ensuring that you invest so that you have things coming back. So within by the time the end of the 3 years, you would have made profit.
Minister Alicock added that while the suggestion of employing accounting officers is what the government is urging, other methods, once effective, can be pursued.
That is the thinking that we would like to have. This is about partnership. This is not about just giving out handouts all the time. Let us see how we could come up with plans. And just think about it. I'm not saying that you must do it. You might have better ways.
Reporting for HGP Nightly News, I am Kristen Macklingam.
Welcome back. The Guyana Reparations Committee has belted the opposition People's Progressive Party, especially former President Barra Jagdeo, for allegedly discriminating against Afro-Guyanese with respect to land justice. Rodin James reports.
In a detailed presentation to the Ancestral Lands Commission of Inquiry on Thursday, Chairman of the Barnum Foundation, Mr. Vincent Alexander, told the Commission that the concern of the Barnum Foundation is the unjust process of transferal of African ancestral lands which have become the property of persons and entities who, by virtue of their acquisition, have deprived African Guyanese of those lands.
Dartmouth would be one such village. Queenstown would be another such village. Stewartville would be another such village. Farm would be another such village. Plaisance would be another such village. Oxton would be another such village. And there are a number of others throughout the country.
Mr. Alexander told the Commission that the lands presently occupied at Pradoville 1 and 2 in the Pleasance area are examples of lands which have moved from being village lands and are wrongfully occupied.
What I am suggesting is that a determination should be made about the disposal of those lands across the local authorities in this country. And that determination having been made, there should be some form of redress for the wrongful transfer of those lands, a form of redress which may either be a return of those lands to the villages to which they belong, or compensation for those lands.
The Barnum Foundation chairman is suggesting that a proper system be put in place to correct the ills of the past regarding ancestral lands. The inquiry, which is being chaired by Reverend Chakasang, heard of the alleged illegalities under which those lands were acquired by persons who are not originally from those predominantly African villages. The Barnum Foundation, through Mr. Alexander, also suggested that there be an audit of all ancestral lands so that justice can prevail and that persons in the villages can enjoy that which those before them had fought for. Royden James, HGP Nightly News.
Thank you, Royden. A concerted effort is needed to ensure that each region becomes a thriving and sustainable commercial hub that will be impactful on the economy in the near future. Here's Kristen Macklingam.
The Regional Agricultural and Commercial Exhibitions, RACE, will play an integral part in pushing each region to become a booming economic hub, and therefore it is important that all regions participate in this venture. That's according to Minister of Communities Ronald Bulkan.
We are working with our other regions to ensure that these exhibitions are held before the end of the year in partnership with important stakeholders, this private sector and civil society in those regions.
Minister of Communities Ronald Bulkan during an exclusive interview with Nightly News. Minister Bulkan stated that while these regional agricultural and commercial exhibitions have already been staged in Regions 2, 5 and 6, they must be executed in the remaining regions in a timely manner. In the meantime, regional democratic councils are tasked with helping to identify investment projects for their locations based on regional priorities.
This administration, probably more so than that obtained a lot in the past, is pursuing a program that allows for a cooperative, a collaborative approach with our RDCs, where they are meaningfully engaged, where they are allowed to identify the projects and priorities within their respective regions that should receive governmental support and financial allocations from the government.
The government, through the Ministry of Business, has already committed to support the development, preparation and promotion of these projects for potential investors. Reporting for HGP Nightly News, I am Kristen Macklingam.
It is important to have an education system in entrepreneurship which cultivates young minds to utilize innovations to create the right economic opportunities. Here again is Kristen Macklingam.
In order to ensure that small businesses thrive regardless of challenges in the economy, there must be a special education system that allows for the development and prosperity of these business ventures. That's what Minister of Business Dominic Gaskin says.
An education system that cultivates young minds to become innovative and teaches students how to use innovation to create economic opportunities is an education system that will foster that culture of entrepreneurship.
Minister Gaskin at the recently concluded Caribbean Green Tech Startup Booth Camp. According to Minister Gaskin, it is imperative that other avenues for raking in resources be embarked upon, instead of relying on exported commodities. As such, more focus is being placed on entrepreneurship in the country, especially for youths and young adults.
And our government and our private sector and various local and international organizations will continue to collaborate to help you to compete as startups and to attract funding for your ventures that will transform Guyana's economy into one that is driven by innovation rather than by the exports of unprocessed commodities.
Reporting for HGP Nightly News, I am Kristen Macklingam.
Good evening, I'm Colin Abrams with the HGP Sportscast. In cricket, the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots lost their final match on home soil to the Trinidad and Tobago Knight Riders on Wednesday night. Despite both teams already having qualified for the next stage, there was no shortage of spice in this encounter between Chris Gayle and Dwayne Bravo's team. Some fantastic hitting by Darren Bravo took the Knights safely across the finish line. The Patriots started their innings brightly. Evan Lewis set off particularly sharply, blasting both Ronsford Beaton and Sunil Narain over the ropes in the opening overs. But his partnership with Gayle was cut short when he was caught in the fourth over for 39. He was then replaced by Sharma Brooks, who along with Captain Gayle made an impressive target of 163. After the weather intervened and the Duckworth-Lewis method was introduced, the Patriots seemed capable to pull it off. But the Knight Riders pulled off an amazing victory. In the space of 13 balls, the Knights hammered 8 sixes and 1 4 to finish the match with 4 balls to spare. Bravo's 10-ball 38 and McCollum's 14-ball 40 snatched the victory for the Riders. Warriors captain Martin Guptill has left for home. His teammate Luke Ronche has been called up by the Warriors. Stanford Howers has more.
The Guyana Amazon Warriors have replaced their captain and opening batsman Martin Guptill with fellow New Zealander wicketkeeper batsman Luke Ronchi for the remainder of the Hero Caribbean Premier League CPL tournament. Ronchi has just completed his stint in the NatWest T20 Blast in England, where he played with Leicestershire and is currently one of the top 10 run scorer in the league with 429 runs at a strike rate of 180.25. Guptill has to return to New Zealand, reportedly because of an important family health matter, and as such the Guyana Amazon Warrior team will be without their appointed captain for the rest of the 2017 Hero CPL. Guptill, who scored 142 runs from 7 innings, was in his 4th year with the Guyana Amazon Warriors. Omar Khan, operation manager of the Guyana Amazon Warriors, said, "It's unfortunate and hugely disappointed to lose Martin at this stage of the tournament, but we empathize with his situation and he has our full support as he returns home to his family. We welcome Luke to the Guyana Amazon Warriors family, and his wealth of experience and explosive batting in the format, he will certainly be an asset to our team." Up to news time, a captain was named to replace Martin Guptill. For AGP Sports, I'm Stanford Howard.
Thank you, Stanford. Massey Industries, through their Bermuda's unit, Shirley Cricket Promotion, gave one lucky CPL cricket fan and a friend a trip to Barbados to witness the Guyana Amazon Warriors take on the Barbados Tridents on August 29. Details in this report. Lisa Lambert is the lucky fan, along with a friend, who will fly to Barbados on August 29 to witness the Warriors take on the Tridents in the Caribbean Premier League Tournament 2017.
This is a presentation from the Shirley Cricket Promotion, which we had from July, and it ended on the 20th of August. Participants needed to purchase $700 or more worth in Shirley to win, for a chance to win an all-expense-paid trip to Barbados to see our very own Guyana Amazon Warriors.
The promotion, which recently concluded, saw over 1,000 entries and came down to just 11 winners of Bermuda hampers. Entries were open to Essequibo, Demerara, and Berbice. Winners of the prizes came from all 3 counties, Berbice 4, Demerara 5, and Essequibo 3. Guyana Amateur Basketball Association Powerade Malta Supreme Rainforest Water First, Second, and Under 23 leagues continued at the Burnham Court Wednesday night when pace setters made light work of Pepsi Sonics and Colts in their Under 23 division flew past Eagles for the win. Stanford has the details.
In the first of 2 matches contested between Colts and Eagles under 23, Colts won the game 70-56. In the first quarter, Eagles were up by a mere 2 points, but lost their way in the second, third, and fourth quarters. Top scorer for the Colts was Timothy Thompson with 27 points, and following closely behind him was Ramon with 26 points. In the second encounter, the pace setters set their own pace with a 61-43 win. Pace setters dominated Pepsi Sonics for the first half, 29-15. By the third quarter, it was all pace setters. Top scorer for pace setters was Marvin Durant with 22 points, with assistance from Rayburn Bauman with 14 points. For AGP Sports, I'm Stanford Howard.
Thank you there, Colvin. Mayor recused herself from fate of parking meters project. City Council will decide. Barbaric fights inside the Camp Street jail. It's their way of settling the score, says a prison source. And Guyana Reparations Committee whips PPP during COI. Commission heard that African Guyanese were allegedly discriminated against. Those were our major headlines. For these stories and more, you can go to our website. It's www.hgptv.com. I'm Travis Chase. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.